Good morning, my name is TheZacharyBinx and welcome to episode 10 of the Wizard101 Ice Ice Baby walkthrough. Today we're going to be tackling the best level 15 gear, jewel socketing, new spells, and more. So let's get bulking. So the best level 15 gear for no crowns you're going to find at the bazaar. Where is the bazaar, you might ask? It is in Old Town with Elk Silverfist. Head on over to Elk, you're going to want to buy new equipment. Now, for the hat, robe, and boots, you want to focus on your school gear and maxing whatever stats your school offers. So for example, let's take a look at the Ice School level 15 gear. So I can already see off the bat, I'm going to want to look to maxing resistance and health. So the glittering cap, 39 health, 3 resistance. So let's see if we can do something better. Can we beat 39 health? We can do 78 health and 3 resistance. And that is it. So 78 health, 3 resistance, that's an improvement for what we have from level 10. So that's going to let me know, yep, we should buy this. And we like to do the white with the light blue is our colors. So we're going to purchase that in equipped. And we're going to sell the old one. Now for the robe, we're going to be doing the same process. Looking at the level 15, I see I have 89 and 2. Now, although 59 health is a decrease in health, I do get 1% more resistance. I do like that. Plus, it fits the vibe. Like we're going for more of this like Egyptian vibe. So I kind of like my robes to match, even if we're taking less health. If I didn't want health, right, I could go for this if I wanted a little bit more damage. And if you feel like, hey, you actually want more resistance and you don't really care about that, or you want more accuracy, you don't really care about the resistance, then like you can always go for like the Cloak of Humility, or any other like level 15 gear. But my goal is high resistance, so I'm gonna actually go with the Frigid Vestment here. So let's pick those colors, white and light blue, and equip. Yes. And then the last but certainly not least are boots. We're looking to increase that resistance. So here's 19 and 2, 39 and 2. Can we beat 39 and 2? We cannot. So we're going to go with that 39 and 2. Beautiful. Buy, equipped, and sell. Now, let's take a look. So we have the Pawnee's Frigid Hood, Frigid Vestment, and the Durable Boots. For your wand, at level 15, this is for any school. Keep the Wand of the 7 schools. This is your starter wand. The reason why it is the best wand until you get to level 30 is because it gives you a base of plus 5% accuracy. Better than any other wand of the game, in my opinion. And it's free, and you don't have to spend any crowns with it. And it has a really good 1-pip spell called Heartbeat that heals you for 1 pip, 245 health. That is a great pip to heal ratio, so I would suggest keeping this spell or this wand until you get to level 30. For Athames, we're still using that Heartsteel. Now, you do have to be level 5 or above to use this. We are going to keep this until we get to like level 56, 58, and then we're going to be swapping it out with something better. But I love it because it has a plus 5% resistance. That's for any school. Now, this is a CROWNSHOP item, but it's only 260 crowns. And you may ask, well, TheZacharyBinx, how are we supposed to earn crowns if I don't have a credit card? Well, if you don't have a credit card or you don't have mommy and daddy's money, then what you can do is if you actually go to the CROWNSHOP, and sometimes right next to this CROWNSHOP button, you will see it's not on right now, but next to this CROWNSHOP button, you will see earn and earn crowns button occasionally, and you can actually earn crowns from watching ads or doing other things like playing games, and that is the best way to earn passive crowns. You can also earn crowns by completing your daily assignments. So as we complete more daily assignments, if you actually keep up on this every day, I believe on it's either the 3rd or the 5th day out of 5, you will continuously be getting crowns that way. So this is what I would suggest by doing. Main suggestion, daily assignments to earn those crowns. Now, for your amulet, now this is key. Your amulet, you want to make sure it's a level 15 amulet, and it must have 2 sockets. Now, what a socket is, up at the top, do you see how it says tier and square? Those are sockets. We're going to learn more about those later in today's episode. But what you're looking for is you want to have an amulet that has 2 of them. You can either have 1 tier and 1 square, or you want 2 squares. That's what you're going to be looking for in the bazaar. And then for the spell, it's whatever you really want. As an ice wizard, I had 2 choices. I could have gone with an ice trap, or I did vampire. The reason why I did vampire is because I wanted a damaging ability that also healed me, because I feel like that's what I'm lacking as an ice wizard, is some sustain. Like, I want to be able to have tempo by dealing damage while also regaining health. So that's why I went with vampire. For your ring, all you care about is getting high, or maxing out your health and maxing out your mana. So just look for the ring that has the highest health and the highest mana. Then for your deck, you're also going to want to be looking for typically your school and whichever deck has the most amount of space. So for me, this was the Thaumaturge's deck at level 15. So that is going to be the best level 15 gear with quote-unquote no crowns. So you don't have to do the Heartsteel, but I do highly suggest it, because it's going to be a really good Athame really until you get to like level 56 in this game. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be learning about something new in today's episode, and that is your house. So far we've been actually going to our home, which is just a dorm in Ravenwood. But if we actually go there, we can learn about something new that we can partake in Wizard101. So let's head on over to Simeon. You can get to Simeon by heading to your dorm. And right outside the boys' dormitory, we can talk to Simeon.
You're still living in the dorms, right? Did you know you can get better student housing? You should go and speak to Buxley, the castle shopkeeper. He'll get you set up with a new castle of your own. Buxley's in the shopping district. His shop is next to Alex Edge.
Beautiful. So to get to Alex Edge in the shopping district, from Ravenwood, we're just going to head through the commons, head over here to the shopping district. If you ever don't know where you're going in Wizard101, by the way, you can always just make sure you click the compass on, and now you can see it just pointing me where different paths are. Now, I don't have it on just because, to me, like, I've played this game long enough to know where the areas are, so I have a map of, sadly, or maybe fortunately, a map of Wizard101 in my head. But we're going to be heading over to Islands in the Sky, which is just hanging a left when you get into the shopping district to talk to Buxley.
Welcome! You look like a wizard of means. Can I interest you in an exciting new castle home?
Now, here's my suggestion. You don't really need to buy castles from either of these people. There is one castle that you should purchase, and that's going to be in the crown shop. Now you might be wondering, well, I don't want to spend crowns on a house. You don't have to. There are actually a lot of items in the crown shop that you can buy for gold. So you'll notice right next to this crowns button, there is a gold button. Now, if it's grayed out, it means that you can't buy that with gold. But, for example, under housing or in the search bar, if you type Red Barn Farm, you notice you can purchase this house for 12,500 crowns. That's a lot. Okay, or now if you look at this gold, it's actually highlighted. So if we click it, we could purchase this for gold. Now, it's not just houses you can do this with. There are a few select mounts, specifically permanent mounts, that you can buy for gold. And just by doing the same thing, toggling over this and figuring out which mounts you can purchase with gold. But the reason why you want this house is it is the best house in the entire game by far. The reason why is the Red Barn Farm will increase plant growth for gardening. So it's great if you're wanting to make couch potato or evil magma pea farms, because what it does is it has by default a plus 15% growth speed modifier just for any plant that you're planting in this house. Any other place does not have that, so you can actually plant and grow things faster in this. So a lot of people like to put all of their like couch potato and EMP farms here for the sole purpose of trying to farm more and more of those mega snacks and any other like high value reagents that they need for crafting. So that is my recommendation. If I were you, I would just click this love button or like button here so that it's in your wish list. You can also make your wish list public if you wanted, so that other people can, if they deemed right like if you have a large following or something like that, and you wanted other people to buy things for you for whatever reason, you can do that. So there's that. So that's how you get any new houses. You can also just purchase them from, there's always castle vendors in each new world. So if you wanted something new that wasn't your dorm, check out this wooden cottage, or maybe this royal playhouse, whatever honestly floats your boat. But that is anything and everything really that has to do with housing. Now we're going to head back to Ravenwood, and we're going to be getting a new spell. Now this new spell I actually suggest, especially if you're going to be soloing Wizard101 and you're not going to be taking advantage of playing with other wizards or using team up often, is the Tower Shield spell that you can learn at level 16 from Lydia Greyrose. So if you head over to Lydia Greyrose, where you're finally level 16, we can learn Tower Shield. Now the nice thing about Tower Shield is it costs 0 pips, and it works versus any school. So this minus 50% to next damage spell is not specific to a school like a Snow Shield is. Snow Shield is minus 80%, but only if they attack you with an ice spell, versus Tower Shield is minus 50%, regardless of what school that spell is. So it's nice because you don't slow your setup while you're going to be having that next hit. Right, so let's say you need to pass or you need to wait another turn to gain an extra pip. Rather than just passing and not doing anything, you could have a Tower Shield in your hand, place that, and now you're safer than any school-specific shield. You're covered no matter what they cast, and you really don't need to rely on TCs or farming TCs or treasure cards for sure, because you have learned this spell. Now the way to learn this spell is by using these training points, and by now in the game, by level 16, you should have enough training points to train up to Tower Shield. So that is one spell that I would highly recommend. It's great for PvE, and it's also quite handy in PvP if you want to do player versus player content as well. So we are lucky because we're ice, we get to train this for free. And if we look in our deck, I'm going to be adding a couple in our deck, and I think that's going to be great. So looking at our deck right now, our aim is to keep it small. So we just have 1 Frost Beetle, an Evil Snowman, a Snow Serpent, 2 Traps. We're going to put in 2 Tower Shields, a Blade, the Hailhound, that's been amazing, and now our new death spell, which is going to be the Vampire. So that's that new spell that we've learned. Next, what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk a little bit more about these sockets, the tier, square, and any other shape sockets. Now to do that, you first must accept a quest from Eloise in the comments. So let's go ahead and talk to Eloise Merriweather. Eloise is going to be standing right next to Zeke. And Zeke was the individual that we picked up the Smiths, the Find the Smiths quest. And we'll be seeing them in almost every single world that we go to. There will be an Eloise and a Prospector Zeke there. So let's head over to Eloise. Digging into a new challenge.
Hello, young wizard. Have you heard about jewel socketing? It is the nearly lost art of adorning items with magical stones. An artisan named Catherine Rockhammer has opened a workshop in the shopping district to teach people about jewel socketing and crafting. I've already told Catherine all about you, and she's anxious to meet. Go speak with her when you get a chance. Oh, and tell her I say hello.
Beautiful. Let's head over to Catherine. Now, I really love socketing, and it becomes more imperative as you get into higher levels in Wizard101 because you get access to more types of jewels and better jewels. So let's hear what Catherine has to say.
Hello, welcome to Rockhammer's Jewel Works, the motherlode of all things jewel crafting and jewel socketing. Oh, you must be that remarkably polished young wizard Eloise mentioned. Smashing, let's dig right in. Magical jewels are extraordinary crystals you can affix to certain items to infuse them with unique statistical enhancements. We call this jewel socketing. Allow me to demonstrate with this cracked, accurate opal jewel and this Athame. We'll start by opening the socketing page of your spellbook. The socketing page is where you'll physically affix your jewels into the special slots, called sockets, on your socketable items.
Jewels have distinct shapes that only fit into corresponding sockets. Socketable items come with varying numbers and shapes of sockets.
Now, notice that our Athame only has a triangle socket. Lucky for us, our cracked accurate opal is a triangle cut. It's a perfect fit!
And voila! Our Athame has now been imbued with the magic of the cracked accurate opal, which gives us an accuracy stat boost in a jewel! Quick and easy, right? Now, before I turn you loose to start socketing yourself, I have one last important nugget for you.
Each jewel can only be placed into a socket once. Although you can remove a jewel from a socket, it shatters the jewel completely.
But you can affix a new jewel into that same socket. That way, you can continually improve your most useful items.
Well, that's the core of jewel socketing. If you ever need a refresher, feel free to reference my jewel socketing tome.
And here, take this Athame and this opal and give socketing a try yourself. You've seen how easy it is, and you can do it anywhere. Of course, acquiring jewels won't always be this easy.
Jewels can certainly be found in treasure troves, lost hoards and so forth, but finding them is extremely rare. However, you can also craft your own jewels. As with any craft, you start with a recipe, which you can buy from a recipe vendor. There are many kinds of jewel crafting recipes, but the basic ingredients are the same. You'll need metal, which you can find throughout the spiral, a gem, which you can find or purchase from a vendor, and a treasure card. And of course, you need a jewel crafting station. When you craft a jewel, there's an element of randomness in the process, and you may get a more or less powerful result. For instance, if you use the same ruby recipe 3 times, you could craft 3 rubies with 3 different damage values. Now, because I want everyone in the spiral to enjoy jewel crafting as much as I do, I'm going to give you a jewel crafting station. All you need now is a jewel crafting recipe. I can't wait to hear about the jewels you craft and socket. Good luck, wizard!
Beautiful. So I can actually show y'all everything that she just told us. So if we head over to this trusty Athame, you'll notice in this bottom left corner of the right hand side, it says affix jewels. So if we click on that, left click, we're looking for a triangle shaped jewel. Now you'll notice this triangle shaped jewel that I have in my bag, this is from a different wizard. It's level 125, which means I have to be, as my wizard, a level 125 or higher in order to actually affix or attach this jewel to this weapon. So if we look at our triangle jewels, we got the cracked accurate opal. So if I affix that and say yes, now it's attached. So if I now look at my backpack and I were to equip it, and I look at my character, and I head on over to my accuracy, I can see that it says, oh, cracked accurate opal plus 1%. So I get an additional percent from having that equipped. Now let's say I take that same trusty Athame and you're like, hey, I actually found a triangle jewel that's better, like this angry SNOWPIG one, but I want to get rid of it and I want to replace it. Then you just click on it, and now you see the shatter button is highlighted, and we just click it. But if we do shatter it, that means, oh no, it's gone, it's lost over. Check here, it's not there anymore. So just be careful when you're affixing jewels to your gear, that if it's a jewel that's low level, don't worry about it. You're always going to be getting better jewels as you progress throughout the game. But as you get towards the end of the game, there are certain jewels that you can't really do better. So you want to make sure that if you're going to affix it, it's to a piece of equipment that you do want to keep around. So why do I bring this up? Well, we have a couple pieces of equipment that we would like to affix something to. That's going to be your amulet. You know, your amulet should have your tier and or square sockets, as well as your ring. So as you'll notice, I have 1 tier, 1 square, and 1 tier, or 2 tiers and 1 square that I can socket. Now the reason why those 2 shapes are important is if you head over to Catherine, we take a look at squares, she has a list of jewels that you can purchase. Now the one that is the most important is this first one, the cracked Archmastery opal. So for us, we need 1 square, so I'm going to purchase 1 of these. And for your tier jewels, we need 2 of the cracked Archmastery opals. So 1, 2. Now you might be wondering, well, TheZacharyBinx, how did you get all that gold? Fishing. So between episodes, I use up my energy. I fish. I like to be fishing. I just swapped between like Cyclops Lane, Triton Avenue, and Firecat Alley. Just if I got bored of one place for fishing there, I would swap to a different place. And then I took all those fish that I collected and I just sold them. I don't find the use of at least keeping those fish at the moment, but I just sold all my fish to make to make some extra cash on hand. So that's the fastest way you can actually be earning gold right now, is just by fishing and selling your fish at this low of a level. So we bought those amulet or those jewels. Now we have to socket them. So let's head on over to our amulet, affix jewels, and we're gonna first affix the square. Now for yours, you will notice that your amulet, I'm gonna look at my ring, but your amulet will most likely say locked. As you see how there's a lock next to this circle one. So if I go to affix jewels, I can't actually affix anything here because it says socket locked. Now to unlock these, it will cost crowns or it will cost a socket wrench. Now if you're really early in the game, you don't have any wrenches, that's totally fine. It only costs 45 crowns, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, this to me is important if you can take advantage of Archmastery. And I think every school at level 15 can start doing this. So I would suggest saving up those 45 crowns to unlock your amulet, and you should be in great shape. So let's take a look at affixing. So if we go to our square and look for our crack Archmastery opal, we will affix that. Yes. We're going to do the same thing with the tier shape. Affix. Yes. And now we're going to do the same thing with our ring, and by affixing the tier shaped cracked Archmastery. Yes. Now you see I didn't spend crowns to unlock the circle socket. I didn't find it important enough because you'll only get the Archmastery opals in the tier and the square shapes. So now if we head over to our character, we go to advanced character statistics and go to this next page, you will notice that your Archmastery rating is a 3. So the base is 0. So we start out with not actually having the stat to begin with. Now I'm going to get a brief introduction to what Archmastery is. So during combat, you have the possibility that a power pip, that you gain a power pip. You can see our power pip percentage right now is 15%. So that means every round when we earn a pip, there's a 15% chance that that pip will actually be a power pip. Now a power pip, right, counts as 2 normal pips. So if you have a power pip, right, you can then cast a 2-pip spell from your school. Great, we know this, we've been playing this game up to this point. But Archmastery, what that does is that there will be a chance that a power pip that you have can be upgraded to a school pip. That school pip can be a school pip of your choice. So what a school pip does is it counts as a power pip for your school and for its own school. So for example, if we go over to our spell deck, as an ice wizard, if I had a death power pip, that would count as 2 ice pips because I'm an ice wizard, and it would also count as 2 death pips. So I could use it to cast a snow serpent if I had 1 death power pip. I could also have used it to cast the ghoul, a 2-pip death. So this stat is usually unlocked when your wizard reaches level 50. So technically we shouldn't even have access to this stat until we get to level 50, but we can obtain the stat really early by this jewels socketing method. Now, if you don't want to spend any crowns and you just want your account to be free to play, which is totally fine, then all you really need to do is you don't really need to have an Archmaster score like I do of 3. You could just have a single tier socketed into a ring. So for this ring, I didn't even unlock the tier slot or the tier socket. So this is just naturally unlocked when I purchased this ring. And this is the same for all of your level 15 rings for each of the schools. So if you just get 1 and have your Archmastery rating as 1, that's good. That's all you need. is any non-zero number to be able to unlock this stat. But if you do have spare crowns, I do suggest unlocking more sockets so that you can increase the chance that you can actually gain school pips. So I showed you my jewels. I showed you the stat, which for our character was 3. Now I need to show you, well, how do you actually change or see where this school pip is? If you go to your spell deck and you look here in the middle, you'll notice that up here at the top it says Deck Archmastery School is set to ice. That means that at the very beginning of the round, or just at the start of combat, when I start earning power pips, there's a chance that those power pips will turn into ice school pips. Now, here's a reminder. Make sure that you have the correct school pip chosen before the fight. If not, it's okay. You can always change it during combat, and I can show you through an example fight at the very end of today's episode. So let's say I wanted to change this to any other school, for example, life, right? To take advantage, everyone gets a pixie. So if you're not a life wizard, it's always a good idea to change this, if you get it at level 15, to the life, because not only will this life power pip work with your own spells, it will also work with this life pixie spell, which means that you can actually save by using a life power pip to cast this pixie, rather than having to use a regular power pip and a single power pip. So this is why I find this to be very, very important. It's also important, especially if you have other wizards that you've been leveling up and then you've gained new resources, which brings us to another thing that I want to talk about in today's episodes, and that has to do with spell writing. So we've talked about Archmastery. I'll give an example at the end of today's episode. Now let's move on to Spellements. So Spellements, or spell writing, as you're progressing throughout Wizard101, you will slowly start to gain these Spellements. So what they are is reagents that are tied to specific spells. So you spend them in this spell writing screen that you see on your screen, and it's so that you can upgrade that spell. So upgrades can either increase the damage and or accuracy of that spell, or it can add special effects. So each spell, for example, Snow Serpent, it has a tree. And you can select the path that you want to upgrade, and then that's it. So for example, the top path, or the A path, will increase Snow Serpent's damage, and in the third tier, its accuracy as well. Whereas the bottom path, or the B path, will add some special effects. These effects you can always read up on if you go to the Wizard101 wiki. They have a full explanation of how exactly, how this text translates into English. So Spellements, well, where can you get them? They can come from world bosses, they can come from key bosses in the world, events, silver chests that you find, certain packs, and a lot more other ways. So early on, you want to use them to be able to rank up your early spells, like your 1-pip and 2-pip spells, to match whatever playstyle you want. Now for us, I don't really care about this bottom B path, because as a solo, I'm not going to be using Gambit much, and I want my spells to actually deal a lot of damage. So to be able to do that, I'm going to be upgrading my top path for most of my spells. So if I click upgrade, I want to select my top path, increasing its damage, which is a pretty significant change, especially on the lower end up to 170. I'll click yes, and then your character is going to go through this animation. Beautiful. And now we've just upgraded Snow Serpent. My suggestion is always do research before you commit to upgrading your spells using spell writing. That way you don't lose out on any Spellements, especially if it's a spell like, for example, Celestial Intervention. It requires 35 for me to unlock it. So let's say I use 35 to unlock it, but then I realize, oh, I didn't want that spell on my Fire Wizard. I wanted it on my Ice Wizard. Well, you can't get that 35 back. So just be very careful before you commit to using some of these Spellements. And always do your research beforehand by looking up YouTube videos or Final Bastion. So there's 3 spells you notice that I can actually get now. That's going to be Celestial Intervention. I would love to unlock. Beautiful. We're going to do the same thing with Angry SNOWPIG. Unlock. And these are all Spellements that I've earned on previous accounts and also previous wizards by leveling them up. We are also going to be unlocking Steel Pip. DEERMOUSE trap. And I said that as if there was going to be another one, but looking at my deck list, there is not. Okay, so when I said earlier that we're going to be unlocking new spells, I meant multiple spells. So let's take a look. We've just unlocked Steel Pip. This is one of the best tempo spells in the game since they've added it. What it does, it's 0 pips. You can steal a pip from your opponent. So that means on the next round, instead of you having 1 additional pip, you'll have 2 additional pips because 1 was stolen. So I love to have this in my deck. It works well with our X pip hit because instead of gaining 1 pip passively, we're going to be gaining 2 pips by using this spell. So I really like to have this, at least just 1 copy in my deck. I find it to be very useful. To keep my deck size down, I'm going to get rid of one of my traps. Now if we look over at our ice spells, we gained a few new ones. We gained Celestial Intervention, Angry SNOWPIG, and we also gained DEERMOUSE trap. You'll notice that we have a new icon. We have the number 2. We also have what looks like a yellow circle with a blue snowflake in the center. This is known as an Ice School Pip. So what this says is I need to earn an Ice School Pip and have 2 additional pips to be able to cast this spell. Well, right now my Archmastery is set to life, so that's not going to work for me to cast any of these spells. So I need this to actually be set to ice if I want to be able to cast these spells. I can give an example. Let's take a look. I'm going to pick one that I think would work out. Let's do the Angry SNOWPIG. I'm going to put a couple of these in our deck for later in the episode so you can actually see how we can cast this Angry SNOWPIG. And I'm also going to be hopefully showing off Vampire as well. So we have Angry SNOWPIG in our deck now. I'm going to throw in a DEERMOUSE too just in case. So that's how you can, that's a little introduction to Spellements. We'll have another one in a different episode when we actually complete a special quest. I did a little bit of upgrading. I do want to let you know that these cards do require school pips, so we are going to make sure that if we have these in our deck, that we select the right school pip in our equipped deck. Make sure it's not a deck that you don't have equipped, because then that change won't be reflected. Now, there's one more thing that we're going to be doing today, and that last thing is going to be checking out Team Up. So you may have noticed by now that when you're questing throughout Wizard101, you can have an option at the bottom of whenever you interact with a sigil. Sigil are those like blue circles at the bottom of like a dungeon that says Team Up. We can talk to Derrick, please. He'll introduce what Team Up is.
Hello, thanks for coming. My name's Blaze, and I'm determined to show all of my fellow wizards the secret to conquering foes. Teamwork. Magic gives us wizards lots of power. With the right spells in your deck, it's easy to feel like you can do anything, but that's not always true. The good news is, we can accomplish even more if we work together. I believe there's nothing better than helping out less experienced wizards. It's like we get to be professors ourselves. I'll show you how. Take a look at the Join a Team kiosk over there. This is the Join a Team kiosk. Use it and you'll see a list of wizards who've asked for help with a tough fight. If you've beaten an enemy, you can help other wizards beat them too. Select someone to join their team. You'll join them after a timer expires. The wizards you're helping are questing. Let them talk to NPCs, solve puzzles, and use the sigil first if they want to. Be nice. If you leave without helping, you won't be able to help anybody else for 10 minutes. Come see me after you help someone.
That's exactly what we're going to do. So someone needs help in Skullfort, so we're going to go ahead and join. Now, I obviously don't think that this level 130 Death Wizard needs help, but maybe they need to help in the team kiosk in some capacity. Note that after 15 seconds, you can actually start a fight early. I always recommend doing this. This saves you time. This also saves the other wizard time. And then I'll catch y'all back when we're ready for this fight. Beautiful. So here we're at. You can see here under by my character, we have 0% chance to next ice pip. That's because currently we don't have a power pip. So Archmastery will only work once we have a power pip. Then there's a chance every round that that power pip will turn into a school pip. So right now we're just going to use Tower Shield on ourselves. So what I like about teaming up is that if you're needing a break from questing throughout Wizard101 and you want to grind on something, maybe you're tired of grinding on farming or you're tired of grinding on socketing or pet hatching, you need something else, I would suggest helping teams using the Join a Team kiosk in Old Town. That was the kiosk that we just used ourselves. They're going to be using that, so I'm honestly just going to steal a pip. So the reason why I would suggest helping teams using this kiosk in Old Town is because as you start helping more and more teams, once you get to certain milestones, then you'll be able to purchase different items at Blaze. That was that person that we just talked to get this quest. You can unlock a very special item, and that's going to be a permanent mount that only costs, I believe, 8,000 gold. That's called a sandstorm mount. It's when you turn into like literally a swarm of sand. But in order to get it, you do have to help 1,000 teams using this kiosk. So it can't be by pressing the team up on a sigil, it has to be at this kiosk. So I suggest, if you want to actually use this kiosk, if you're ever bored or you want to get badges, maybe you're like 101% club person, and you want to get these badges, then I would definitely suggest helping 1,000 teams, and it can even be as simple as like do 10 a day or something like that, and then you'll get it sooner than you think. So that's how teaming up works. There's a lot of people who play this game who are like almost max, if not max level, that love to help people because they just don't really have anything that they want to be doing. You'll notice that when you leave that dungeon, right, because we started at the kiosk, we're going to come back directly to the kiosk, so we won't be leaving that dungeon and entering just onto the street.
Pretty cool, right? Helping other wizards is one of my favorite things to do. You earn special badges for helping. Show me your badges, and I'll sell you great stuff. So go play it forward, wizard.
Beautiful. So that's everything that has to do with the team up kiosk. Now, as you progress throughout the game, you'll actually be able to join teams in different worlds or special skeleton key bosses. That's only as you start unlocking and defeating those bosses as well. So as I promised, I wanted to show you a little bit more about Archmastery, so I'll see y'all when we're in Unicorn Way. Beautiful. Okay, so we've made it to Unicorn Way, so I want to show you a little bit about these school pips. So I'm going to be passing until we get our very first power pip and or school pip. Beautiful. So as you can see, we just gained a school pip actually. So what that means is that we can actually cast Evil Snowman. The reason why is because we have one pip from this white pip, and our school pip actually counts as 2 ice pips, which is this Evil Snowman. But if you take a look at Angry SNOWPIG, we need 2 regular pips and a school power pip. We only have a school power pip and 1 pip, so we have to pass if we want to use the Angry SNOWPIG spell. we just pass right now and then wait to gain another pip. Beautiful. So now we have 4 pips. We have 2 single pips and 1 ice school power pip. That allows us to cast Angry SNOWPIG. We've met the 2 single pips and the 1 ice school pip. But we don't have 3 pips and an ice school pip, which is why we can't cast DEERMOUSE. So if we go ahead, now we can cast Angry SNOWPIG. And that's how we unlock the ability to cast special new types of spells that we unlock through Spellements or spell writing. Now, another nice thing about this is we can change our school pip here. So let's say if we select Death, for example, and we enter combat. Now we're going to be earning Death power pips. So let's see what happens when we earn a Death power pip. Okay, so we've earned a power pip, but it's not a school power pip, which is why Angry SNOWPIG isn't working. We need a school power pip and 2 pips. Now, Vampire doesn't work because it requires 4 pips. Now you might be wondering, well, we have 4 pips, right? We have a power pip and 2 regular pips. Well, this power pip isn't a death power pip, which is why Vampire isn't highlighted right now. So if we want to take advantage of being able to cast other schools' spells that are not our own, that require more pips, then we have to wait until we have that school's power pip. So you'll notice that we no longer have just 4 pips, we have a death school power pip, and we have 3 normal pips. So when I cast this Vampire spell, it is going to just take the Death School power pip and 2 normal pips, because that counts as 4. The reason why Angry SNOWPIG isn't active is because it requires an Ice power pip. So because this school power pip is Death, it's not Ice, so we can't cast the Angry SNOWPIG spell. So we've cast Vampire, and you'll notice I still have 1 pip at my feet. And that's because that Death School power pip counted as 2, just like a power pip would, but we were able to cast a death spell using that power pip, and it was able to take advantage of it being 2 pips because it was from the same school. So that's the reason why I love getting Archmastery early on, is because now we can do a lot more when it comes to building our decks, as well as using other spells from other schools and taking advantage of those school power pips. So now cards like Vampire we can take advantage of, or even just a simple Pixie we can take advantage of by switching this over to life. So I hope this video was very informative for everyone. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please press the like button down below, subscribe, comment your favorite Wizard101 school and why below, and as always, have a good morning.